Hello there, and welcome back to Lightsabers for Beginners. This will be our part 3. We're going to go over some really common features and terminology surrounding those features for a lot of your lightsabers. Part 1, of course, was on different types of lightsabers. Part 2 was kind of the parts and anatomy of lightsabers. And today, of course, we're going to go over the features. Now, I am expecting this video to be a little bit shorter than the other two, and the main reason for that is that I did a previous video that was comparing the difference between a Neopixel lightsaber, in which there are LEDs down the blade, versus a baselit lightsaber, which are the most common ones and the ones that I do recommend more for beginners. And that's just an LED right here that shines down this hollow tube. So I did a video. I'll put a link in the description for that. I actually think I put a link to that in the part 2 as well. But for this purpose, I think it's good to have that in both cases. But let's do just a quick recap. So again, with a baselit, one of the features that you're going to see, of course, is the ignition and deactivation. And that usually will come with just kind of a light sound. Like that, and then the light, of course, will come on. And in a lot of the newer sabers, you'll actually see that it's a fade on and off. So the light kind of faded, and then when I turn it on, it'll fade up instead of just being on or off. Now, some sabers will just have that on or off. Ultra Saber still does it that way. So, for example, this is just going to turn on. And then it makes the ignition sound, same with turning it off, but it just turns on and off. Other sabers can actually change the blade style. So what you saw a moment ago, that was just the stable. If we change this, actually, that was the volume control. So that actually shut the volume off. So a lot of sabers have a mute function. I find that's really useful if you're just wanting to spin and you're doing that at home and maybe someone's asleep, or you don't want to really disturb them. Mute function is really good. But let's actually turn that sound back on. So pulse, really hard to say. You might see that on my carapace where it's kind of fluttering. And that kind of has an interesting look on to your eye. The next would be
no sound, loud sound, soft sound.
Sorry.
Unstable.
There we go. Sorry, I keep hitting just the one button for the volume control, but the unstable is basically a strobe. It kind of looks like it's pulsing, but to my eye, this is basically just a strobe. In the video that I did that was discussing the Neopixel versus the baselit, the unstable on the Neopixel, it actually kind of looks like it's flaming because you've got the different LEDs. Again, I highly recommend you check that video out. Now the other thing is the different sound font. So that's really just the way that it sounds. So if I hold this, it goes to a different font. So you hear that sounds a little bit different. So let's change that to another one.
I've been waiting for this day for a long time.
This will be the Kylo Ren. So this would actually be a good font to go with that unstable blade style. So that's really the difference between a font is just the different sound, the blade style is just the effect. Now I want to talk about smooth swing. Which is, I highly recommend smooth swing if you're going to get a lightsaber with sound, but that's just how responsive it is to movement. A saber without smooth swing may actually have that swing sound, but it's going to be, it basically has to reach a certain threshold, and then it just does a generic sound, like this guy. So I really have to kind of give that a real good twist in order for it to trigger. With a smooth swing, that's not as much of an issue. Now, the other thing that's cool about specifically a lot of these newer sabers, the LGT Saber Studios that you can get from various vendors, they do color change, which is pretty cool. And the way that this particular saber does it, and different sabers are going to do that in different ways. There's some sabers that you just kind of click the button while it's on a couple times and it'll switch to a different color. This one in particular, when you have it on, you actually hold for 2 and it'll start to do the color changing. You can really see that on my carapace. So it's going to a red, and I believe it's going to go to a green next. Yeah, you see that green. And it just kind of scrolls through. Again, the Neopixel does it a little bit differently. Again, check out that video on the comparison with that. But when you get to the color that you want, so it's in this nice light blue, I think I like that, so I went ahead and did that. And you saw that flash. That's another feature, is the flash on clash or blaster deflect. You just do most sabers that I've seen will just, so it'll make that sound, and it will also flash white. So this is a light blue, but it does flash white. Now you can do lockup if you, while it's on, you hold, and that's basically, you get another saber, and it basically just strobes white. Again, different sabers are going to do that. I think most Neopixels will actually have an activation where once it hits, it does that lockup. And with that, we've pretty much covered all of the very common features that you're going to see in a lot of sabers that are out there on the market. Like I said, this is going to vary from saber manufacturer to saber manufacturer. These are just really common features that I've personally seen in some form or another in a lot of the different companies that I've bought from or seen reviewed. So I just wanted to share that. If you like some of those features and you want to make sure that a lightsaber that you're going to buy has it, just check its feature list, reach out to the vendor, see if that's something that the saber has, and then you're good to go. And the next video that we're going to do is going to go over some of the modifications that you can do to personalize your lightsaber, and I'm actually going to give some of my recommendations. I'm going to actually talk about the saber companies that I've had personal experience with, as well as the ones that I specifically recommend for beginners. There's definitely a lot of saber companies out there, some that are a little bit more intermediate, but the next video is going to definitely just discuss those beginner ones that I recommend. And as always, if you guys have questions, please leave a comment below. I do respond pretty quickly to the comments. If you've got a question, I'll pretty much respond to it within about a day or so, maybe even sooner. And if you want me to expand on something, I may already have a video on that. I can leave a link, or if it's something that you really want me to expand on, I can even do another video just for you. And as always, may the Force be with you.